So, first things first, let's get down to business. Tomorrow, I'm doing a hangout with one of the founders of the Black Manosphere, Oshay Duke Jackson. We're going to be talking about personally my experiences that I've had being one of the 100 black people living in Utah. Yes, there are blacks living in Utah, and not all of them are immigrants from some third world country who were brought over by Mormon missionaries. So that's going to be exciting. I'm going to have that hopefully done around 3:30 local time, which is mountain time. So 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific. I don't know what time, Polish time, but let's get to the business at hand. A common pattern that I notice a lot of you guys do, and I'm speaking to particularly black men who tend to have gripes with a certain subset of the black community, and that is the criminal. And I'll be honest, some of this was inspired by me watching Minister Jap's video about how the black community overall admires criminals, which we all know is beyond true. We all know how the women, particularly black women, admire criminals for whatever reason, whether it's because they make money when they're young or they're seen as cool figures in TV, whatever. We can go into reasons, but quite frankly, at this point, it's a moot cause. It's a dead horse that will continually be beaten, and quite frankly, there are plenty of people who can do it probably more not eloquently, but more with more figure than I can. But what I'm here to talk about is how a lot of you guys, and yes, I have to criticize you all, even the guys some of you who are subscribed to me, and many of you who support me. A lot of you guys who tend to complain about how certain black women are only attracted to thugs, dope boys, bad boys, etc. Well, it's hard to complain when a lot of you guys epitomize the same values and the same patterns as these so-called bad boys and thugs. For example, a lot of you guys tend to, and the reason why I say a lot of you guys, and not include myself in it, is because at one point I did reflect some of these traits, but not all of them. But I've since have basically programmed myself to not reflect any of these traits, to be my own individual. And hopefully with this video, I hope a lot of you can become your own individuals as well, instead of following what you've been programmed, what you've been told, and what you've been raised with, which goes into how a lot of you all resemble criminals. Quite frankly, we all know that the criminal on average probably doesn't have the best diction, doesn't have the best vocabulary, doesn't have the best grammar. Usually he speaks as if he just stepped out of a rap video, or in some cases within the South, and increasingly nationwide, as if he came out of a plantation with the talk of Ebonics. Now, language and the way you talk is one of the first signs of how a person can tell what you're about, if you're about anything at all. I know a lot of you boys out there, or a lot of you dudes out there, I won't call you boys, but a lot of you men out there, and yes, even men do this, grown ass dudes do this. You will pick up some of the most asinine colloquialisms and quotes that the black community uses, the so-called black community, most of which is inspired by gangsta rap, dope boy slang, just criminal crap. For example, it's your boy, little B's, and I'm here to talk about how black men we can get our money, and even in cases in which, know what I mean, know what I'm saying, you feel me, you hurt, all this other stuff. All these little quotations that you guys use, even in videos in which I like, even with people I like. A lot of you still tend to cling on to this language of the criminal. And I want all of you to just look at some of these videos, even the good guys, the good men I recommend. There's still this sense of urbanism that is within their vocabulary that needs to be programmed out. If one, you're going to be taken serious by society, two, you're going to not be seen or not be compared to with the criminal. Second, how a lot of you dress. I mean, a lot of you probably tend to dress up in a certain way. Now, I'll let all of you go in the closet right quick, not in that kind of closet. I mean, the literal closet. Just, you don't have to go into it. Just look at it for a sec. I'll pause the video. You back? Good. So, what you all probably notice in your closets are that majority of your stuff tend to reflect clothing as such, or clothing that's worn by your typical, or that's promoted by your typical criminal, dope boy, thug. Your Timbs, Jordans, whatever urban style that is in or was in. I know True Religion was in back in, well, a few years ago, but I mean, that's how old I am, and I don't even keep up with the styles these days. Also, the way a lot of you guys write, but to be honest, a lot of the, and I'm not talking about making a mistype on a SAT word, but the typical typing language. A lot of you type like how you sound, and quite frankly, it's on the side of borderline illiteracy. I mean, not to criticize you guys, and I know you all, this is probably going to be the most scathing video I do to even some people who support me, but quite frankly, why am I saying all these things? Well, it's simple. A lot of you complain about how dope boys and thugs are the only ones who get black women, but a lot of you all tend to epitomize characteristics of these dope boys and thugs. And quite frankly, the black woman, I mean, or any woman in general, if she's going to go after something, she's going to go after the best thing. And in the case of black women, we all know what most of them like. And they're going to go after the most dope boyed out, thugged out, swag fagged up, criminally involved, ice wearing son of a bitch. I mean, when most people look for the best thing with hypergamy, black women look for the worst thing. We all know that's a fact. And quite frankly, the black women who don't look for that kind of element, they tend to date outside their race from the get-go. They tend to date white men from the get-go, or just non-black men. That's just how it is. And even where I am in 95% white Utah, trust me, for all of you who are looking for that sister and thinking logically to surmise that, oh, if I move to a place like this, then I'll get all the black women. They all gonna fall for me because they ain't no brothers here yet. There ain't blah blah, yeah, blah blah blah. No, that's not how it works. A lot of women here are basically just outright bed wenches. And then that's how most black women think. I mean, you can't help it. You can't. At this point, I think the recent events have proven that they don't want to be helped. More importantly, even with people who criticize them. I'm not talking about those who have a bitter issue from high school or middle school and call them names and shit. I'm talking about men who deal with black women and want to help them. Yeah, I can go on forever with that. For you men out there, for you black men specifically, if you're not willing to go all the way and be the most vindictive, vicious criminal out there, then don't even try. You're not going to compete. And that includes taking up all these thug-like characteristics such as talking slang and yeah, shorty, and all this other stuff. Quit it. You look like clowns. Seriously, I'm not even trying to clown on anyone in particular, but you guys, you can do better than this. I mean, it's so bad that you got guys out here who are clearly not thugs, are clearly, well, they're more than not thugs. I mean, some of these guys are just clinically depressed. And for all of you who watch YouTube a lot, you'll probably notice one individual who talks about how he can't get women, he's lonely, he can't get laid. Yet, I mean, the way he looks, the way he dresses, the way he talks, I mean, you would think he'd be trying out for whatever gang in the Bay Area that exists that wears all black, that wears all Oakland Raiders stuff. I mean, let's be honest. But the point is this. If you're going to complain about black men or black women getting all the criminals, only admiring criminals, then don't play that game of, don't go half-ass at it. Don't try to have the criminal swag, and yet complain that someone who's more harder than you is getting all the black women. Because one, that's just a battle you're going to lose in general, and two, that's going to hold you back from, one, the real opportunities in life, and two, the women who are actually worth it. And yes, all you virgin towel guys usually, no women's worth it. Well, stop messing with bitches in nightclubs and bitches who don't want you, or bitches who come up to you after they're done fucking the bad boy. I mean, if all of you don't know, if all of you can't determine the difference between those kind of women and good women, yeah, I'm not saying that there are cases. Anyway, I can go with that. I'm not saying there aren't bad women. Trust, a lot of Western, yeah, that's, anyway, that's a whole another video. But the point is, black men in particular, go all the way or go home. And personally, I've done the latter. And I don't regret it one bit. It's cost me a lot socially when it comes to the so-called black community. But I've gained a lot more from it. So, in the meantime, everybody get hyped for the interview tomorrow. And for everyone else out there, always bet on X.